Thank you very much for sparing time for this interview. You have now completed 17 years as Chief Minister. You're in your fourth consecutive term and now among the longest serving Chief Ministers in the country. We would like to know, what is the secret sauce of your success? What is the USP that you have?
I think our government's work, pro-people work, anti-poverty work, work for women, work for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and of course for all the poor. And I think we've been fairly successful.
Now, one of the things that is quite peculiar is that you're quite, let us say, not the usual politician. You kind of keep a sort of aloof demeanor. You are not much on social media as the other politicians are there. You're not making a loud noise about things. What is this formula that you evolved, that you still are successful? You won 3 big elections, and your most recent one, you won even more than ever before, though Prime Minister Modi was at, or at that time, candidate Mr. Modi was at the peak of his popularity. What is that secret that you have, that you've...
I don't think it's the aloofness, as I said before. It's with our programs, our government programs, which have been fairly successful. The people have appreciated that and have voted us time and time again back to office.
It's not a style thing that you shouldn't you be out there speaking, communicating with the social media? Do you think the way you're functioning is as effective as, say, Prime Minister Modi does with the way he goes about doing things?
I think my style of functioning has proved effective enough. As I said, work speaks.
It's been 17 years now. Do you think anti-incumbency is beginning to set in? I mean, every chief minister who serves that long begins to suffer from that problem.
There's always anti-incumbency after a long period of time, but I think our work will speak for itself.
Now, in the recent panchayat elections, though you all won 2/3 of the majority, the BJP did fairly well, and there was some concern from your side. How serious is this setback in your opinion?
Well, they won about 1/3 of the seats in the panchayat elections, but their leaders, their 2 central ministers, were defeated in their areas, and their state president didn't open his account in his area.
Now, the BJP has also talked of an eastern push, and that includes Odisha. How concerned are you about the challenge that BJP might now pose to you, because it has now become the primary opposition party, having toppled the Congress, or so it seems?
It doesn't concern me particularly. I don't think it'll have a major effect.
But the other concern has been that within your party, there's been some amount of dissent. You had a prominent member of parliament, Mr. Panda, come out in an article calling for deeper introspection. And among the charges or the concerns that he had made was that the state is run by bureaucrats.
That isn't correct. As I said, we have no more dissent than any other party. And as far as the government being run by bureaucrats, or the party being run by bureaucrats, that's not correct. Because we have a number of vice presidents, general secretaries, observers, etc., who do their work. We're a democratic party.
And the other concern was that was raised was that corruption. Now, anti-corruption was a plank that you used successfully. You were stuffed with people, you had sacked ministers, you had sacked bureaucrats, and now one of your own partymen says that there are allegations of corruption within the party. What have you done about it?
I think we've been very effective in tackling corruption through the years.
The recent reshuffle, did that have any indication of some of the criticism that was being leveled against the party?
That wasn't to do with corruption, it was to do with other aspects.
And the other point was that there was a feeling that your party didn't have the youth connect, that youth were feeling that they weren't getting justice. How true is this criticism?
That's not true. We have a great many scholarships, we have loans for students, we have a very good skill program run by professionals. We're doing a great deal for our youth.
Now coming to what Prime Minister Modi has been advocating, which he's talked of cooperative federalism when he came to power. Have you seen that cooperation when you've been dealing with issues that concern the state with the center?
Not particularly. I feel that our state has been neglected.
And which areas would you say that you feel that things could have been better?
They've cut down on many funds that were given by the center in the past.
And you've also expressed concern about the fact that an energy cess is not coming to the state despite the fact that your state contributes so much to the Indian energy basket.
You're right there. The cess that should be coming a great deal more to mineral-bearing states is not coming to them.
But you've been very objective, one can see. When demonetization happened, you actually, one of the few opposition chief ministers, or those not in NDA, who backed demonetization. Why did you believe that it was a good move?
We backed demonetization because it is against black money. But the implementation of it was bad. There were many aspects of it which were not successful.
And which areas would you say?
Money was tight, funds were not available for people, there were long queues outside banks that persisted for some time.
Would you now, what would you expect Prime Minister Modi to do? He said this is not a full stop demonetization, there's more action to be taken. What would you expect the Prime Minister to do to root out black money?
Let's see what his plans are. We will wait and watch.
But you are as concerned that he should be acting on it with a far more vigor than what is considered?
Absolutely, I do.
And the other big issue that has come up, of course, is the biggest tax reform since independence, which is the GST, the goods and sales tax. You have supported that. What is your sense of the way the negotiations have gone? Are you satisfied with what is happening?
We have supported GST. I think it'll be very good for the country, and we brought up certain aspects that could be improved.
Do you have any ambitions of becoming a Prime Minister or going to the center?
I'm very content with being here in Odisha and serving the state. I have no ambition of becoming Prime Minister.
And the reasons?
The reasons, as I've said, is that I'm very happy being here and working for the people.
Now, the other problem is that with the NDA coming with such a majority, the opposition is in a disarray.
We always require healthy opposition. That's necessary in a democracy.
Well, there is a suggestion, since you're probably one of the senior most chief ministers there, that you take the lead. Would you be amenable to that?
I think it's early days yet to decide on that.
Would you say that a third front could be woven around you? Would you be part of that front if it does form, or a Mahakatbandhan?
I think it's, as I said, it's early days. Let's wait and watch.
And when would that period, you think, be critical for?
Closer to the elections.
Now, the other concern is that the Congress, given its depleted numbers, what is your view of the Congress at the moment?
Well, it's doing badly. It's falling like a pack of cards.
And Rahul Gandhi, do you think he could take over as Congress president? What is your own assessment of Rahul Gandhi?
I think there's scope for improvement. He's in his 40s. Let's see how he goes on.
You have dealt with Prime Minister Modi on several occasions. What is your impression of the Prime Minister?
I think he's a hard worker. Also, I think that the people's expectations are so enormous. Then still 2 years to go of his government. Let's wait and watch.
And your assessment of his government?
As I said, people's expectations are enormous. There's a lot of disappointment, but let's see what he can do in the future.
You are being very diplomatic about that. Now, among the things that you've been, as we said earlier, 20 years here, what are the lessons? I'm coming to a more personal part of your life. What are the lessons you learned as being Chief Minister?
That we really have to deal very seriously with all anti-poverty programs.
And you've seen, you've got, obviously, there's, 2 more years to go with your 4th term. What are the issues you would be focusing on in these next couple of years?
Housing, Pakka housing, for all the people who do not have it. There are about 2 million houses. We've already completed more than 1 million. various other programs like irrigation, education, health. We are dealing with that.
And women, that has been one of your major focuses in your tenure as Chief Minister. What are the measures you've taken, and what would you like to do in the next couple of years?
What we've done is we've started women's self-help groups that involves more than 500,000 women, and for their political empowerment and indeed their financial status, which has improved hugely. Also, we have in our Panchayat Raj system, 50% of the seats are reserved for women. We have excellent schemes like the Mamta scheme for pregnant women, a financial scheme which is now being emulated by the central government.
And the other core area that you focused on is on farmers. What have you been doing to sort of alleviate the problems that they've been facing?
When we came to office in 2000, we were a rice deficit state. We had to import rice from Haryana and Punjab. Now we are amongst the top 2 or 3 states that export rice from our state. Also in the last decade, we have doubled the income of farmers.
And you have also focused on tribal welfare. Your state has one of the largest tribal populations in the country. How have you had to cope with it? I mean, when you took over in 2000, Odisha was known as almost the land of the poor. Kalahandi was, infamous for what was, for poverty itself. What have you been able to do in all these years?
We've taken up a number of reforms for the scheduled tribes, for their development, for their infrastructure, for the economic status. We've opened hundreds of hostels for tribal girls. We've taken a number of steps.
Now, one of the pictures that last year that came out of a gentleman carrying his wife, his dead wife, across 10 kilometers because there was no ambulance to take it. How did you react to such a
That was a very tragic incident. We have a free ambulance service, and the administration has been told to see that such incidents do not occur.
I've also noticed that in the last couple of months, you have been doing serious review of all the programs that you do. You actually sit in to what the collectors are deciding on. How do you run the administration? What are the inflection points you think you have to intervene into?
We have regular reviews of each department to improve matters.
Is this something that you found? Is this a style that you developed over a period of time? Because you were virtually apolitical in that sense before you took charge. How did you evolve as a chief minister? That's what I'm very curious.
Well, the reviews of important programs must be done, and we do them regularly.
And I'm trying to get to this. I know you're very, very humble about this. But what is this, the method that you've used to get the kind of results that you've got when you look at the various development parameters that the state has? There's certainly been a remarkable change and growth in that. What have you been doing?
We've concentrated on efficiency, on teamwork, on the removal of corruption, and many other factors.
And I saw that you've now come out with a slogan, the 3 T's, which is transparency, teamwork, and technology.
Absolutely.
Now, this is a state that seems very savvy on technology. You have your collectors on WhatsApp. There seems to be a lot of electronic payment going on. You now disperse your salaries. What made you push for these kind of things long before even Prime Minister Modi talked about it?
We started our e-governance initiatives some time ago, and it's proving to be effective.
What is your impression of when you're interacting with other chief ministers, the sense you get of the country now? Do you feel that there is a momentum that is there?
I think there's certainly some success, some progress in many areas.
You are optimistic? You feel that the country is in the right path?
I'm always optimistic, and it's going on the right path in many ways.
Are you concerned, for instance, in Kashmir, where there has been so much strife? What do you think needs to be done over there?
I think there should be a lot more discussion. They require a lot more sensitivity, because it is a serious situation. I think anyone would agree to that.
And the other issue that has sort of, affected and caused concern has been the issue of beef, the sale, the trade, the consumption of beef. Where do you stand on this debate?
I think everyone should be concerned about the feelings of the people and also consider what the majority of the people require.
If you were to be, I know you don't want to get to the center, but if you were to be Prime Minister, what would you focus on?
I think I would focus on the progress, the development, the welfare, and the concentration on poor people.
Now, coming to your own personal life, you were known fondly as Papu to your friends. You have lived a flamboyant life.
Well, when I've come to Odisha, it's been much more serious, and I'm concentrating on the work here.
How did you switch off? I mean, here was a life that you led. You weren't even political, isn't it, in some senses? How do you switch off and say, overnight almost, that I will now not do the things that are there? And what was the kind of discipline you had to bring in?
I think it came quite naturally. It was not a question of discipline.
And what motivated you? I mean, here where you had a wonderful life, you had great friends, you were across the world, you were seen in the jet-setting crowd, and suddenly you are now here in a very simple atmosphere. How did this, you're almost like a karma yogi, how did this change?
I think it happened over a period of time. When you enter politics, you have to look at matters differently.
And what inspires you when you do this kind of thing? What is the reward you feel?
The reward is when people appreciate the good work that's done.
Do you really miss anything of the life you had in Delhi?
No, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't.
And why? I mean, is that something that just a closed chapter? And
it's a closed chapter. I think one's too busy to think about those things.
And what about writing? You used to be an author and you're pretty well known at that. Is that something that you...
Unfortunately, I don't have the time now to think of writing as such.
But there's one passion you pursue, which is your interest in plants and gardens. And you've set up a wonderful garden here in Bhubaneswar. Is that something that gives you a great deal of meditation and peace when you are here?
Yes, it gives one a great deal of satisfaction.
And the issue of environment, which is very close to your heart, we have seen industry come up here. How have you been able to balance the book between industry and
we have a very good green policy and environment policy, and we try and make it effective so that industrial pollution doesn't affect our atmosphere.
You've also, under your watch, actually grown industry, manufacturing and service sector. Now the agriculture sector is there. What are you doing to encourage more industry to come? Which are the areas?
A great deal of industry has come, lakhs of crores of investment, two enormous steel plant, one of Jindal and one of Tata's have come up, also the port of Dhamra and Gopalpur.
And what would you, if you're going to look ahead, jobs is a serious issue that the state faces. What are you trying to do to ensure that the people, particularly, I mean, it's not just of Orissa, all across the country, there's a problem of jobs. What is it that you're trying to do to see that the young people have jobs for themselves? And
we have an excellent skill development program which is run by professionals. We also have scholarships. We have loans for students. A great deal is being done for the young people.
And you, in terms of...
Also, we have been able to give lakhs of employment in the state.
If you have to look at what you could have done or should be doing now, what would be those 2 or 3 things that you would be
Well,
saying?
look, one always knows that one has a great deal more to do in every sector. It could be health, it could be education, it could be agriculture, it could be irrigation. There's never an end to how much one could do.
In terms of how long do you think you would like to stay on as Chief Minister?
I haven't thought about that, but that happens on its own, I think.
And one of the criticisms, let's put it that way, has been that Mr. Naveen Patnaik is soul and whole in Odisha. There is really no second line of leadership. After you, the BJD doesn't exist.
That is not true. We're a democratic party. We have a number of vice presidents, senior people, general secretaries who are also very effective in the party. We are a democratic party.
If you had a chance to do something else, what is it that you would do?
I can't think of anything better than what I'm doing at the moment.
And that has given you the greatest satisfaction.
It has.
Well, Mr. Patnaik, thank you so much for taking your time out. We wish you all the best in the next couple of years. You've been really patient with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.